Our protagonist, Encrid, dies on the battlefield one day. However, he finds himself living the same day again. After which he has to die again and again until he kills his enemy. Now, will he be able to overcome his enemy, or perhaps despair in this lonely torture? In the morning, a cook bangs utensils to wake every lazy person. Our protagonist is lying on his bed, unwilling to get out. His teammate smells something fishy in his boot. He screams, "Gosh, there is a freaking bug in it." Our MC, Encrid, begs him to shut up. This muscular guy and yawning guy are his party members. Another member prays for the enemy's annihilation in today's battle. After Encrid caused a lot of trouble, he was demoted to squad leader of these dimwits. Fast forward to the battlefield, horns of battle are blown away, and the commander shouts to attack. Soon, a battle begins between the two groups. As for Encrid, he doesn't have any special powers or anything. He managed to get here with endless training. He blocks a sword attack and retaliates with a kick to the enemy's gut. Another enemy tackles him while he is distracted, and pins him to the ground. He is about to beat his face so badly that his eyes will pop, his nose will be broken, and he will beg for mercy. When he imagines his sadistic end, another soldier saves him by cutting the enemy's head. Even though he has no real talent, he tries to grab his sword. He knows that his dream of becoming a knight is out of reach, so the only best option is to save himself here. An arrow is shot at him and fortunately, it hits his teammate. His luck shines once again and his life is saved. He thinks that it doesn't matter if people laugh at him, he will always aim at becoming a knight until his hands can hold a sword. But sorry for him, he is still a noob in swordsmanship, and a person stabs him at the vital point. The wound is fatal, and blood gushes out of his veins. With his death near, he slumps down on the ground. In the end, he didn't know, he would die so pathetically by a common soldier. After his death, blue flames burn in front of him. He believes this is the end and he has gone to the afterlife. His vision began fading away and he passed out. Suddenly the sound of utensils banging is heard again. "Wake up, Encrid, wake up." He questions if he was dreaming just now. His friend, Rem, says that there is something in his boot. He exclaims, "Ugh, it's a freaking bug." Encrid questions his sanity and thinks if he felt a déjà vu. On the battlefield, Encrid is defending once again. A stab from behind catches him off guard, and he gets his neck pierced once again. This is his second death. Now, it's third time. And the fourth time. The cook bangs utensils and tells everyone to wake up. Encrid once again questions his sanity. The enemy's sword piercing his throat, the burning pain he feels, and the blood he throws up, it feels real to him. Later at the battlefield, Encrid thinks that for some weird reason, this day keeps repeating itself. The same person comes for him, and he stabs Encrid the fifth time, and he dies again. The same person comes again with a perfect stab and killing intent. Encrid has already seen this blade tip 17 times, and before his death he closes his eyes. This marks his 17 deaths. The blood comes out of his mouth, followed by his neck getting pierced. In his dying moment, he thinks if he had wielded the sword with a bit more effort, and if he had worked a bit harder, then he would not have to die again and again. He goes to the afterlife, and a lantern burns once again. A voice says, does he think that he can escape death? A ghost spirit in a boat comes near to him. The voice says that he can struggle all he wants, feel the hopelessness of his situation, and give up. He should feel the despair in front of a wall he can't cross. Despite his messed up life, he still refuses to give up. The cook bangs utensils again, and the day restarts. Encrid wakes up with a calm mind. Rem says, "Squad commander, you woke up immediately today." He casually replies, "Rem, you have bugs in your boots." Huh. What nonsense is he saying? Damn it. There is a bug in my boot. He smashes it with his feet and asks, "Hey, did you put it in? What kind of bullshit is this?" He replies that he saw it crawl inside earlier. This is his 18th time seeing that bug's corpse. He hopes that if he sees it a few more times, then hopefully he will end this loop. Now, we go back to his past. He wielded a sword since he was young. He learned swordsmanship from a retired mercenary who coincidentally came to his village. Young Encrid defeats him while panting heavily. The mercenary has lost one leg, and he says that if you are already this good, then you can become a knight. That's when he began to dream. A knight is someone who can slay 1,000 people by himself and change the dynamics of a battlefield. He is considered an invincible hero. The knight who can finish a war is called the Knight of the End, and he aims to become one of those. He thought he was the main protagonist of this world. He considered leaving the village and becoming a knight. But soon after, he faces a harsh reality. People at the bar make fun of him, calling him a noob. They mock him by saying he got scared by a mere stray dog, and yet he dreams of becoming a knight. He is not even good enough to be a free mercenary. Encrid is sitting in the corner, bandaging himself. He left his village and joined the mercenary corps, but he learned that his talent was nothing special. However, he didn't want to give up too early from one failure. Well, as the saying goes, hard work never betrays you. So, he swung his sword countless times. He believed if he wasn't talented enough, then with time he would succeed. He trained like crazy in the snow, day in and day out. One time he managed to kill a monster with a lot of struggle. He exclaimed that he had finally done something useful in his useless life. He thought he gained the strength and endurance to be acknowledged by those around him. He proclaimed that he was becoming stronger and he would become a knight. But that strong hope was hopelessly crushed. One day in a duel, he got disarmed in combat and his enemy did a bit of poking in his stomach. He was defeated by a child staying in the village. The child comments that he is a weak old man. The boy was 12 years old and only started learning swordsmanship 6 months ago. While Encrid spent over a decade, wielding a sword to the point where his palms were wrecked. Still, he was effortlessly defeated by a 6-month genius. He questioned the meaning of his life. He thought, was all his hard work useless? Is there no way for him to become a knight? On a starry night, he still wanted to become a knight. So that's why he is practicing his swings on a tree. Even though people may belittle him and call his dream a hopeless one. But he won't back up. Like a savage, he thought by spending less time on eating and sleeping, he could maximize his practice. He kept swinging till the morning, hoping that a day would come when he would be the greatest of all. He swings his sword again. His hand trembles, and he is gasping for air. It's about sunrise, and his face sweats heavily. Even after all that effort, he hasn't made much progress. He believes a trash like him can't become a knight. He pants heavily and his hand shakes wildly. But still, he tries to swing one more time. As expected, he is not able to cut through the tree. He drops his expectation from becoming a knight to being a mere soldier. Now with sweat dropping off his face, he screams and swings once more. He continued this savage practice for 3 years, and now we come to the present moment. The kingdom he is working for has 4 companies and 4 platoons, and below that there are 4 squads. Encrid became the squad commander of this so-called second-rate squad. This is the best position he could achieve after his endless training. But still, he finds himself lucky, as being a regular soldier of the kingdom is better than a traveling mercenary. Encrid calls out to his teammate who is doing nothing. He asks, what does he want? While flexing his wrist, Encrid says, Jackson, can you do my morning duty today? He questions the sudden change in his behavior. Nevertheless, he accepts his work and tells him to pay money for it later. He leaves the scene, and Rem comments that he looks like a wicked cat. Just look at how he stares at his prey. Encrid calls out Rem's name. Rem asks what he wants. If he is thinking about pushing something onto him, then he can keep dreaming about it. Encrid asks if he can teach him Heart of Beast again. He looks surprised at the request. Rem replies that last time he got his ass hooped when he tried to learn it, so does he want to experience it again? He thinks that if it works or not, he is stuck in a death loop. Learning it could be the only way out for him. He kept dying in the same battle, came back to life, and began to relive the same day over and over again. Although he learned the Heart of the Beast from Rem each time he came back to life, he still had to die by the same sword again. He bets that today will be the day that he breaks out of the loop. Soldiers get ready for battle. A commander shouts, everyone forward. This is the 21st time on the same battlefield, and he has completely memorized the repeating situation. A spear comes toward him and he dodges it by a few inches. Next, there will be an attack from the guy behind him, he blocks that as well. And more importantly, there is one more thing. Another squad member behind him will soon die. An arrow is shot in his friend's direction, which is blocked by Encrid. While his friend is confused, an enemy jumps on him from behind, but Encrid kills him just in time. He exclaims that it worked, he blocked the arrow and killed the attacker. With this, he has completed his first goal for today. What's left now is to deal with the stabbing guy. The stabbing guy killed a person and he clears his sword of blood. Encrid always ends up facing this bastard in every loop. The stabbing guy approaches him. This guy has stabbed Encrid neck 20 times, but he bets that this time he will survive. The crazy stabbing guy comes for his life. Encrid remembers Rem's advice. While flexing his axe skills, Rem said, he would remain trash if he closes his eyes in dangerous situations. He grabs his axe, and swings close to his head. Now, look at yourself, loser, you closed your eyes. If you do this on the battlefield, you will die immediately. You need to be brave and shouldn't be agitated or taken aback. Become a bastard who doesn't know anything about death. Like a beast? Yeah, just like that. Back on the battlefield, the stabbing guy tries to stab him, and Encrid closely follows the tip of the sword. He proclaims himself to be a beast who doesn't know death. Is he afraid of death? No, not at all. Death makes him stronger. Encrid narrowly dodges the attack and the sword whooshes past him. His heart pumps faster, and for the first time, he dodged it. It took him 20 tries to achieve this feat. Encrid tries to counterattack and the stabbing guy regrips his sword. The stabbing guy makes another stab attempt, and this time with quicker agility, he pierces his neck. Encrid realizes that something is off and the next moment, he dies again. Blood spills out of his neck and he is back to the other dimension. The wandering spirit says, in this never-ending day, he has been trapped, he is feeling pain and despair. So, he should give up and get on the boat. He should learn to acknowledge his weak self and be at ease. He replies that there is no way he will give up that easily. The cook bangs the utensil, and Encrid wakes up again. Rem says, "Squad commander, you woke up immediately today." Encrid doesn't reply, he thinks that he is moving forward one step at a time. Today he will challenge the stabbing guy again. Later on the battlefield, Encrid is facing the stabbing guy. This time he can see the sword and saves himself narrowly. He thinks that he will dodge the second attack before it reaches him. But, the stabbing guy is too fast for him and his neck gets pierced again. He slumps on the ground. This time, a locket also got cut and dropped on the ground. Encrid remembers how he got this. When he was a mercenary in the past, he took a few requests to kill monsters. He didn't do it because he had to do it, but he was asked for help by a random village. He decided to help them because he wanted to become a knight, who must protect the weak. In return for his work, an old lady gave him a pendant. Since their village is poor, so it's the only thing they could offer. That's the time when he received this locket. Although he wanted money, he still took the locket. The old lady said this locket would grant him any wish. Before dying, Encrid thinks if this locket is the reason behind this looping day. The stabbing guy strolls toward him and says, "You must be in pain, so he will give some mercy." Saying this, he prepares to kill him. Encrid says that he could keep his mercy to himself. The stabbing guy stares at him and finds his arrogance amusing. Soon after, he stabs Encrid in the neck. The cook bangs utensils and Encrid starts his morning by playing a joke. He tells Rem that he has implanted a bug in his boot, and Rem screams upon discovering it. He is annoyed with Encrid playing tricks right from the morning. He asks if he has finally lost his mind. Encrid ignores his complaints and tells him to come outside. He asks him to teach the heart of the beast. It's almost noon and Rem is swinging his axe. Encrid follows his movement closely. He evades the strike by swiftly turning his upper body. Rem is confused to see him pull such feats. He inquires how his beast of the heart has gotten thicker out of nowhere. Encrid replies that he trained for it. But Rem doesn't believe him, heart of the beast couldn't be learned so quickly. As for Encrid, he has been learning it for more than 10 days. Just like Rem said, he could only learn it from his repetitive death. Encrid jokes about it, maybe he learned it by chance. He goes to the weapon selection place and picks a sword. He wants to have another sparring session with him. Even if he learns Heart of Beast, he would still get killed if he can't land a strike. Rem is confused at first, but on second thought he likes the idea, he could beat his ass again. The practice began and Rem attacks first. Encrid is having a tough time dodging the strikes and Rem makes fun of him for dodging only. During the fight, Encrid thinks that he only has one sword technique in his arsenal. That's an anomalous technique made by a mysterious man. Although people speak ill of it, he considers it a petty trick. Rem laughs at his weakness of lower body structure. However, Encrid firms his back foot and uses his ultimate technique. Rem could feel something different about him. Just like the stabbing guy, Encrid tries to stab Rem. However, Rem disarms him in one swing and his sword spins on the ground. For a moment, Encrid thinks that he imitated that bastard stab. Since he has died from his stab more than 10 times, his body remembers it. Rem explains that the attack was good but it lacked killing intent. He tries to teach him how his attack should have more impact but struggles to explain it. He says something about his hands bleeding which confuses Encrid. He tells him he is being doubtful of himself. Encrid asks if a situation like this happens on the battlefield, what should he do next? Rem tells him to scream, "Oh, I am so scared, I'm a dead meat now." Jokes aside, he scolds him for getting disarmed in the fight. He should never lose grip of his sword. Although Rem explained it poorly, Encrid gets the underlying idea behind it. The difference between his stab and that bastard stab is his lack of confidence. When he faced him again later that day, he died again. The stabbing guy says, "Here's some mercy," and finishes him off. After that Encrid practiced daily, got disarmed, and had some mercy from the stabbing guy. He died again, got disarmed again, and had more mercy. Another day, he died. On day 111th, here's some mercy. 123rd day, here's some mercy. Finally, on the 124th day, something different happened. He was having a sparring session with Rem. His stab made Rem stop his attack. Rem asks if he has gone crazy. His hands are worn out and they are bleeding badly. Plus, why is he laughing like a madman? Encrid is happy with his progress, he has mastered that bastard stab. Later on the battlefield, Encrid goes in with murderous intent. The stabbing guy also gets prepared. Encrid makes the first move, but the stabbing guy turns his head and the sword hits his armor. He then kills him with his stab. Encrid's first stab attempt was a failure, but no matter what, he won't blink, he won't let go of his sword. The stabbing guy thumps his foot on his chest. With sweat and nervousness, he says that you must be suffering, so he will give some mercy. Encrid tells him that tomorrow will be the day when he dies. The stabbing guy makes fun of him and says that the dead have no tomorrow, and kills him. His locket shines and he goes back to the same day. The bug crawls out of Rem's boot and Encrid crushes it. He says that he saw it crawl in earlier and this confuses Remington. He thanks him for the favor and Encrid replies that if he is thankful then he should take his guard duty. Rem is even more confused, he is ordering him around so casually. Encrid then calls out this big-eyed dude. He tells him to get some shin armor, a shield, and a dagger, he will pay for it later. Big Eyes reply that he doesn't usually do favors, but since he is the boss so he will trust him. Rem asks what has happened to him, he wasn't so pushy with his command. His team member, Laxon says that you always push tasks onto him, so this behavior is obvious. Rem asks if he wants to taste his axe. The tall guy asks the god to give a blessing to their commander, and Rem thinks that the leader is acting weird today, he's usually not this intense. Encrid goes for his training, he is practicing stabs on the tree. For him dying is not fun, he feels an unbearable amount of pain during death. He questions if this day will end. What if he doesn't win after thousands or tens of thousands of times? What if he can cheat his way to survive, would he still wake up to this day? Although he's stronger than before, he can't be content with that. He doesn't have an option like that. He has to surpass this wall. That's why he is practicing his stabs. He uses his maximum strength and splits the tree into two halves. Later he gets decked out for the battle, he wears daggers on his chest, shin armor on his legs, and a shield in his left hand. No matter what happens in today's battle, he has to keep moving forward. The horns of the battle have been blown and Encrid is prepared for the fight. The battle begins and Encrid jumps into action. He believes that a person like him with no skills managed to survive this battle because of three things: preparation, luck, and a cool head. He remembers the days he died. On the 46th day, his left shoulder was shattered by a spiked mace. On the 47th day, he rolled to dodge the mace, but someone crushed his head. But in a few days, he learned to counter the mace. On the 71st day, a soldier cut his foot off, so he couldn't do anything to the stabbing guy. However, the next time he wore shin armor to protect his legs and killed him. On the 89th day, his head was split open because somebody threw his axe. Even after countless regressions, he interrupts his fight with the stabbing guy. So, killing him first takes priority. He throws a dagger at him which hits him in the head. After all of that another team member ends up behind him. A sharpshooter always tries to kill him but Encrid saves him. Another enemy rushes from behind and Encrid deals with him too. After that, he has to face the stabbing guy. On the 125th day, they meet again. The stabbing guy makes the first attack and Encrid blocks it. The shield breaks and he rushes to attack. But he has to defend the next attack. The stabbing guy is surprised, he was charging at first but blocked his attack instead. Encrid headbutts him in the chest and this catches the stabbing guy off guard. Encrid forms a piece of dirt with his foot and throws it into his eyes. Looking at the opportunity, he attacks him. But the stabbing guy senses him and attacks. Encrid evades it narrowly and the stabbing guy swings past him. Now, he's angry and Encrid knows what he will do. The stabbing guy goes for another stab and Encrid retaliates with his sword. The sword dances and the stabbing guy's sword shreds into pieces. At the same moment, the enemy's sharpshooter fires an arrow at Encrid. On the other hand, the stabbing guy is speechless and he drops his sword. Encrid says, "It's over, he has won." The arrow comes at Encrid and at the same time, Rem throws his axe. The axe cuts the arrow, thus saving Encrid life. And Encrid kills the stabbing guy. Rem is annoyed with that sharpshooter, he wants to deal with him right now. His friend says it's too late and he shouldn't waste energy. The moment we all have been waiting for, Encrid stabs him in the neck and blood comes out. He comes closer to him. Now, with sweat dripping from his face, he is happy to see this day end. He looks at the stabbing guy, prepares his sword, and says the iconic words, "Here's some mercy." He beheads the stabbing guy and feels elated. He has finally broken the wall. But his happiness is cut short when he feels immense pain on getting hit. A frog-like creature sends him flying, and he screams wildly in pain. His teammate is shocked to see that creature here, and Rem rushes to help his leader. This creature is a human-like frog. The frog looks down on the struggling Encrid. He says that he invested quite a bit in raising the stabbing guy, but he can't believe a trash like him killed him. The frog says it's time to die. However, Rem swings his axe and deflects the frog's attack. He follows up with a second attack and the frog blocks it. They start exchanging blows where the frog has the upper hand. An enemy tries to kill Encrid but his teammate saves him. On the other hand, Rem gets pushed back by the frog. They are now in a standoff. Rem says that if he wants to cut his squad leader's head, then he has to go through him. The frog chuckles, "That weakling is your commander, how amusing." Rem thinks that these warrior race frogs are born to fight. To defeat them, he will have to either burn him with magic or pierce his heart in one strike. The frog isn't interested in Rem, but in Encrid. On the other hand, Rem thinks that he'll have to put his life on the line to defeat him. The frog says that this battle isn't worth it. He glances at them and leaves the battlefield. Rem panics a bit and calls him a coward. The next moment, Laxon is carrying him. An enemy tries to attack but gets sliced by Rem. Another one attacks from above and gets killed by another member. Another teammate cuts multiple enemies in one swing. They form an encirclement around Encrid, protecting him from any dangers. Encrid begins losing consciousness and the last thing he remembers is that they are retreating. The soldiers retreat and the day comes to an end. As for Encrid, he wakes up in the other dimension. The ghost spirit tells him that although he has survived this day, the path ahead won't be easy. There will be countless walls that will keep appearing and the only thing he can do is to suffer and feel pain. Encrid laughs at his fate. He slowly stands up and tells the spirit that for him, the walls exist to be overcome. The spirit laughs at this. He says that he will wait for the time when his eyes will show hopelessness. Encrid wakes up in a bandaged condition. He recalls this place to be an infirmary tent. Encrid looks at the person sitting next to him. Rem tells him that he has been unconscious for 2 days. He reminds Encrid that he saved him from the frog. The pain reminds him of the frog, who hit him at the end. He is amazed to survive it. Rem says that he is lucky that he doesn't have any broken bones. Only his head got messed up badly. He asks if he remembers this best friend. Encrid says that he can't be a friend of a noble hunter. Suddenly, Rem covers his mouth. He looks at the 2 other people in the tent. He's glad they are asleep. Rem tells him not to blurt out his secret so carelessly. Encrid is glad to make it out alive and see a new day. His teammate, Cry, says that he spent a lot of gold to get him here, so he should pay back 3 times. Encrid says that he didn't see him on the battlefield. On getting his lie discovered, he reduces the price from thrice to twice. Encrid wonders that a regular soldier like him would be left to tend to himself, then who could have brought him here? In the evening, Jackson visits Encrid. He asks if he wants something from him. Jackson tosses him something. Before leaving he tells him not to worry about how he got it, and that he should apply this twice a day. Encrid opens it and finds the ointment that Jackson uses. He questions that Jackson is usually stingy about sharing personal items. Next, Auden comes with tears filled in his eyes. He prays for his health and well-being. Encrid tells him to stop praying for his soul. He isn't dead yet. The night comes and Encrid is lying on his bed. He thinks that it's weird to see his teammates taking shifts. Perhaps, they are worried about him. Ragna while strolling comes at the infirmary. Encrid looks at him and Ragna asks what is he doing here. He waves goodbye and leaves. He thinks that Ragna is a carefree bastard. Even if he dies, he won't care. Besides him, there are 2 soldiers in the infirmary. One is a platoon commander from another company who used to pick fights with him. The other soldier is unknown to him and he spends time staring into space. He seems like a low-ranking soldier, but how did he get here? Encrid looks at someone coming into the tent. The other 2 soldiers also look at that person. A woman enters the tent. With pointed ears and a sword at the back, she asks who's the commander of the 444th Squad.